gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the DJ Force X podcast. I am joined by a previous guest and a new guest, but with a new band. I'm joined by a group called the Defect. I have Johnny and I have Moon. Welcome, guys.
Hi.
How you doing?
Thank you.
I'm good. I'm good. That's the most professional part of it, just uh, on that front. But no, we're here to talk about Defect. You guys have just released a new album
Yeah.
called DeathXDestiny. And yeah, you've just come off tour as well.
Yeah. We
Oh,
just went we got back from the grocery store right like 10 minutes before we were supposed to do this. So
okay. So you are
yeah.
primed and ready to go. Have you managed to put the groceries away? That's my next question.
Yeah, they're away.
Yeah,
Okay,
she
cool.
she did that while I came down here and tried finding all my stuff to get this going. So yeah.
Real life, ladies and gentlemen, real life of rockstar
Yeah.
right here. So right here on the show. That's awesome. I love that. As long as there's nothing melting or anything like that, then we're good.
Oh no, we're solid. I'm a professional.
Excellent. Excellent. It's good to know. It's good to know. It's got to be at least one in a partnership. So
Yes.
It helps.
it does help. I'm not the professional in mine. So it's kind of,
At
shopping.
least you recognize this, man.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, this is true. Anyway, yeah. So, what I want to find out first and foremost, because you hinted at it in the podcast last year with the Browning, but the sort of the origin story of the Defect.
Yeah.
So, if you wouldn't mind, I don't know if Moon wants to take this one or if Johnny wants to take this one. I don't know, but if
Yeah. I mean, basically like we realized with the Browning that there was like two subsets of fans, the people that liked the generalized Browning music, the really heavy, chaotic, all over the place genre bending. And then with songs like Skybreaker, we realized there was a subset of fans that specifically liked that stuff.
Yep.
And so just because I wanted to be able to provide more to the people that loved that sound without sacrificing the heaviness of the Browning, the concept was just to make an entire band of that sound. And obviously it has like mass potential as well, whereas the Browning I feel like has a certain cap that it can go to with how weird it is. And so the doing a project like the Defect has always been something I've wanted to do. And so it just made sense to take the anthemic rock side of the Browning, put it in its own band, and then allow the Browning to just be crazy. And for me personally, it helped a lot with the songwriting process of the new Browning album. I think it's the best Browning album because I wasn't trying to figure out how to balance the melodic and the crazy.
Yeah.
Because I have this entire this entire 10-song album with the Defect that got all that melodic stuff and the rock stuff out of the way,
Nice.
And so it allowed the Browning album to be as good as possible while also allowing us to explore that side of the Browning's sound with the Defect. And so like both bands and both styles of music I think benefited from being separated.
Excellent. Excellent. I mean, you guys like I didn't mention it before, you just come off tour together as
Yeah.
well. So obviously taking double duty for yourself, Johnny. And how did you find the touring experience, Moon? Was that your first tour doing this, or was it?
That was my first tour, like performing and stuff. I've been out with him 2, 3 times prior, but yeah, this was my first time like actually touring. Been pretty nomadic throughout my life, so like I'm no stranger to, long car rides and shit like that. But I really enjoyed it. This was a great tour, and this was yeah, it was a great opportunity for the Defect as well as everybody else, I think. So
Nice.
feeling pretty lucky and fortunate.
And the crowds obviously because they're coming for the Browning, which is like you said is a heavier animal, if you will. And how did you find the crowds like with that? We're obviously being a little bit lighter, but you still have the heaviness. It's not gonna, like, for anyone that hasn't listened to you guys yet. I
It
do go.
seemed like they were fucking loving it, man.
That's good.
Yeah, there was it's I keep making like jokes to Johnny like, "Oh, the Defect now can never play to anything less than 200 people, Like it's and like definitely been spoiled with that. It's been a great experience in literally every state and every show that we've played and yeah, the crowd seemed really receptive of what was going on. We got some pits going, which is pretty tight, you know. I'll take that. And it was kind of surprising to me because I would say probably like 95% of the people that I talked to at the merch table after the set, I was like, had you heard of us before? And like 95% were like, no, this is my first time, but definitely got a new fan.
Yeah,
So it was kind of curious to me a little bit. Like people were definitely showing up earlier than I remember ever really showing up for a show, and it's
pretty
much
cool.
appreciated.
Yeah, it was definitely like I was surprised a bit by like it was better for the defect than I anticipated. This well, first this was the best headliner that the Brownings ever done by far. Is We had 12 sold out shows, and the shows that weren't sold out were pretty much at capacity. Like questionable, they probably should have been sold out, but so it was by far the best Browning tour that we'd ever done, and so throwing the defect on it as an opener, I was kind of expecting Defect to play in front of like, 30 to 50 people a day just because people are like, oh, when's the Browning play? 10 p.m. Okay, I'll show up at 9,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
But that was not the case on this. There was lines of hundreds of people every single day waiting to get inside, which the Browning had never really had that before.
The
So
disc package was also
yeah,
next level. It got a little taste of like everything.
yeah.
Yeah, you had
And so
things, didn't you,
it
on there as
the
well?
defect performed to way more people than I was expecting to. And like she said, with people being like, no, I never heard of the defect, that just goes to show how terrible the internet is for promotion. Like,
Yes. No, it
and
totally
so having them in person and seeing it, definitely that was a big time help for us.
No, that's great. That's awesome to hear because I'm always curious when they sort of like, if the first time you go out and you are the opener. I've been in that position of being an opening
Mm.
band and playing to,
It can be rough.
yeah, it can be the staff of the venue before the
Yep,
venue opens. I
exactly.
that like one of my friends played an arena tour and they were the opening band and literally they were playing to security uh,
Yeah.
most nights, which like for what they paid to be on that tour,
Yep.
I would not have put up with that. But it was a bigger band on there, so it's
Yeah.
kind of like you have to put anyway. But no, this is great. Obviously, there's sort of like going back to like those sort of like I guess smaller venues or more independent venues. That obviously the Browning are playing, and you like I said, you the best tour you've had
Mm-hmm.
in that respect. And I've followed the Browning for a long time, and sort of seen you guys sort of in and out of labels and all that kind
Yeah.
of and all that. And it was nice to see because I was actually following it on social media as well, like seeing you playing these various venues. Then I saw one of your previous labels were posting up a bunch of pictures of you as well because they went to go
Yeah.
see you, which I thought was amazing. Um,
Yeah.
like earache just coming out and seeing that. But yeah, no, it's just great because we Dropout Kings on there as well, who are a very good band. And but yeah, no, obviously having those people come in and early to see you,
Yeah.
that is
Yeah,
mate.
it was huge,
Love that.
and it was a big sign of just how excited and how well things are going for the Browning, and for the defect, it was way more than expected. And like she said, she would go over to merch after the set, after, and so there's actually one of the nights on tour that defect sold more merch than the Browning did.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
Hell yeah.
That's some bragging rights for you right there, mate.
yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
Oh, Magnet, that's brilliant. I mean, the album is great. It came out on the 7th, everyone. It's out now.
Mm,
So people can go, they can go listen to the album if they want it. But it's a great album. I'm loving tracks like Run, Lost
hmm
in the Shadows. I love the Immortal one as well. The one with
Yep.
obviously the Browning on there. But and I think it was Broken Minds was the other one as well. Like I mean
Yep.
the whole album. I love it. There was like it's one of those again, it's an album that I haven't skipped through. I've had a few of these recently, that's why I said again. But I don't skip through it.
Yeah,
I have it on from start to finish, and yeah, I love it. It's so different, but it's still got the element of heaviness, but you have got that kind of cinematic kind of um soundscapes and stuff like that.
definitely.
Like
Thank you.
bigger sound. And obviously your vocals on there as well, Moon. Fantastic.
Thank you so
Um,
much.
like it certainly adds a different dimension, especially with your style of vocals as well, Johnny. It's like almost a yin and yang situation um,
Definitely.
on that front, but it works so well. And I can see why you've got this sort of different avenue away from what you do with the Browning and everything. Like you said before, you want to keep that heavy, chaotic, but you're trying to balance. But this is the other side of it.
Definitely. And it's as we got farther into the writing process, we definitely found a little more of like what the inevitable sound might be, because definitely the first couple songs that we did was specifically to show people like, hey, if you like Skybreaker by the Browning, you're going to like this band. um and then as we got farther along, the songs did get heavier, darker, and really started going, I guess, a little more into like not necessarily new metal, but like early 2000s rock new metal, to where it kind of started getting that vibe. And then also trying to have songs primarily more her voice than like the initial ones were like half me, half her.
Yes.
Um, which we intend on, still keeping that dynamic. Uh, and but like definitely wanted to see how far we could push the songs with being heavy and intense. Run is a really good example, to where it's like that song's heavy and but it's all her vocals on it. And so uh yeah, we definitely started finding the footing a bit more on what we wanted to be, and especially knowing that this whole year we were going to piggyback off the Browning tours, wanted to make sure that we had music that was heavy enough to engage the people like in a metal audience.
Nice, nice, and I mean, it works so well. Like I say, I had the album before it came out. Like, obviously,
Yeah.
but like, obviously, you guys were on tour, so getting you on was difficult.
Mhm.
But yeah, no, it's nice to see like, obviously, I don't want to. This doesn't sound disparaging. I don't want it to sound disparaging, but a touring fixed band.
Right.
It's one of the things that it's an element that because I've followed this label for a long time,
Yeah.
and it's very difficult. Like, occasionally they've had bands from over here in England where I've gone to see them, and obviously, but the majority of the like label seems to be kind of producer based.
Yeah.
So, and it's very difficult to get out to see them live. And I love live music. That's the thing. And
Yeah.
now a lot of, like, obviously you joining them, it kind of adds it to that arsenal of you going out on the road.
Yeah.
And that's kind of a bread and butter thing for you, in that
For sure.
respect. And you've got a fan base that will come and see you as well. As you've already said, like, this time around, was there a large gap between your last tours as well? Like,
We did a support tour last year, direct support for Upon and Burning Body, and that tour was really, really good too. Um, but I think this tour showed us that that tour was a lot of our people coming out as well. And yeah, for me, like, honestly, it would be a special kind of project that to for me to do, for me not to want to do live music, like even while writing the Defect stuff, like the live environment is in mind the whole time, like what's it going to be like. And especially I felt the Defect set was that we put together was like the perfect like dynamic of being able to bring it down but then bring it back up, and just like this really good flow. And that's something I do try to do with the Browning as well, tie all the songs together so it's like a performance rather than song, 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 song. And the Defect set felt super smooth, and like it was a perfect balance of the dynamics. And so I can't wait for the Defect to be playing like European festivals. Like, this
yeah,
music is European like festival. Put us in front of 50,000 people, and it's going to be a good time.
that was going to be my next question.
Yeah.
Whether you're going to bring it over here, because I
Yeah.
know you're out on tour again in
Mhm.
April. It's you, the Browning, Swarm, and you guys as
Yeah.
well. So a quick question: how are you finding double duty? Like,
It
like,
was it. I did better than I expected. Like, I knew that I'd be able to do it, like, because the Defect is, as far as like stamina goes, easier than the Browning. Because like I don't have to be running and jumping around, and I know not all eyes are on me on the during the Defect set, and so it's a lot easier just to relax a little bit. Actually, the vocals for the Defect are harder for me than the vocals for the Browning,
ask because
because
you do stretch it more.
yeah, and it's a lot. It's doing those pitch yells is more difficult than my actual screams. But yeah, I mean, I was on stage for like an hour 45 uh on this, and I don't know, even her, it was her first tour, and she was like 30 minutes felt like literally nothing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it goes by so quick.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, I was going to ask you because it is your first tour. Like, how did you find it? Like, in that respect
A
of
lot
getting up
easier
there.
than I was expecting, honestly. Like physical wise, I actually did quite a bit of training like before. I was like
Yeah,
riding the stationary bike for like 2 hours at a time, like max singing and screaming and stuff. But like out actually performing, I was more worried about like the mental aspect of it, like being all super nervous and stuff, because like I get kind of shy sometimes, and I was worried about that. But then I got up there, and the trick is like you look nobody in the fucking eyes. You look above everybody's head, and it's easy peasy. Like
Yeah.
it's yeah, it was good, and I found that the time just went by way too quick, and I'm about ready to start performing the hour sets. So
Yeah, nice,
Yeah.
nice. I mean,
Yeah,
with
I brought it up to her before the tour because she would always mention like, the people that are in the front and whatever. And I'm like, I promise you, I don't look at people when I'm on stage.
yeah,
Like, not that I don't care about the crowd there, but it's less awkward performing in front of like 1,000 people than if you're performing in front of like two people, you
yes,
know? Because like
it's incredibly true.
quite as
you will see
intimate.
that individual person if there's like 10 people in the crowd. When there's 1,000, it's just kind of like this, in this thing that's out there. Like, because I'm the same way. I don't look at people whenever we're on stage. It's just kind of like
Yeah,
I don't know, looking at the back of the room or something.
yeah. That's a good way. Like if you do like have that kind of like okay, it's kind of an element of stage fright in that respect. It's like, the way to get over it is like you don't want to eyeball everyone.
Yeah,
Because you're like,
definitely.
there is that thing of playing to two people is super awkward. Like I get it these days, I DJ. So
Yeah,
there are some times where I'm doing like early night warm-up sets or whatever.
yeah,
And that can get awkward when you're playing these
definitely.
songs that normally kind of maybe fill floors or get people dancing and they're not. And it's just like you feel kind of a bit self-conscious and all
Uh-huh.
that kind of stuff behind the behind the decks or whatever what I'm using. And
Yeah,
microphone as well. If I have to use the microphone.
yeah,
But no, I've played gigs as well in front of a man and a dog, and that's super awkward. I think
yeah.
the dog was more into it, but it was
Yeah, and like it was definitely something too to get used to with the Defect music as opposed to the Browning sets is like I've never been in a band that like the point wasn't to, open up a huge pit and
yeah,
just, destroy everybody. Whereas like the Defect I had to realize, okay, if there's not a mosh pit, that's okay because
We got a little bit more groove to
you know,
it.
and it's the atmosphere
Got
and
groovy.
all this sort of stuff. And so if people are just kind of sitting there and like doing this for the Defect,
yeah,
that's like fine. Where if they're doing that for the Browning, I'm like, can you guys freaking do something? Like, come on.
yeah,
And so it was definitely a little something to get used to.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's that energy exchange. You put out what you want back. So with the Browning, you're putting out like fucking move.
Yeah.
And then the Defect, you're kind of like you're putting out that like you said, Moon, the groove. It's got you've got that kind of vibe going with it.
Yeah.
And like certainly through the album, like you mentioned, like the sort of like maybe the early 2000s sort of sound,
Hmm.
metal sound, which I love.
Yeah.
We're getting
Um,
weird with it, man.
no, do it. Like, get
It's
weird
so
with
weird. I fucking love weird.
that shit. Take it in every which direction you can. It's a wonderful thing. But no, I mean, like I say, people like go listen to this album now. It's great. I love it. Like, and I'm hoping it is doing well when it comes to metric side of things as
Yeah.
well, if that's something that you really worry about. But obviously on a live scale, this is where I like to sort of it's a real good litmus test for
Yeah.
a lot of music. And some things will go over well, but like sometimes they don't. And
Yeah.
I mean, obviously piecing together a Defect set,
Yeah.
how difficult was it? Because obviously, with your experience with Browning, like you can kind of put together a set that will do will do the fans that are turning up.
Hmm.
Like they'll know the tracks. Some of the track you got big tracks. You got obviously got new tracks that you want
Definitely.
to play as well. But obviously new palette cleansing, if you will, with the
Yeah.
Defect. What challenges did you have putting together that set? Did you change it
Well,
throughout the
the big
night?
thing, we definitely did a few like extended parts. We're on record. If it was extended, it'd be a little awkward.
Mm,
Where live, like the driving part, like in Lost in the Shadows, there's just a big riff section, wham, bam, bam,
oh,
bam.
yes, yeah,
And so if that was like as long as we did it live, but on the record, it'd be kind of awkward. You're like, get on with it. But live, since that's like a big energy part, we like had multiple parts that we extended out live. But I guess the biggest challenge for the Defect set was that um we only had X amount of songs. And so, fortunately, it was close enough to 30 minutes to just be able to play all the songs besides one.
mm,
And the biggest challenge was just, okay, how do you have X amount of songs, you could do no more, you can do no less. How to position the songs in a way that where the set like flowed well,
yeah,
where like all the more chill songs aren't right here, and then all the heavy songs aren't right here. Just being able to arrange, the 9 songs we played, we had to arrange them in a way that like flowed. But honestly, like I said, I think that it flowed even better than the Browning set. Because the Browning set, it's really hard to work in like what old songs do we do,
Yeah.
how much of the new record do we play, and whereas this, it's like, okay, we have X amount of songs, let's make it flow well.
Yeah.
And I also kind of feel like the Defect, like, we're still just babies, you know what I mean? Like, we don't have too much to like really try to build like, a proper set off of, or like, like, oh, this would fit better here, yada yada. Like, I kind of feel like it's a bit at a point where like we just have to put out what we have and like give the people and show the people like who we are and what we're doing, and like either they're gonna dig it or not, like.
Yeah, and we're definitely excited for the next tour. Before the next tour, writing, at least one more song to work into the set to add a little more to like the heavier side. So, because like it all went really well, and it probably was nice for people that didn't know the Defect to just not have just another, deathcore band or another thing, and so it probably, like you said, like an ear cleanse, even live. A lot of people that are just metal fans, like into deathcore and stuff like that,
Yeah.
might not have ever watched a freaking rock band before in their
Yeah.
life, And so having those big melodics and having the presence, and we use the same lighting that the Browning uses, so it definitely was a big atmosphere, and a full production. And so,
Okay.
some of the shows had a local band open,
Yeah.
and they go from the local band using the house lights to the Defect with this, specialty lighting that's programmed to the set, and just everything tied together, and transitions between every song. Like, it probably did kind of blow some people's minds a little bit, being like, dang, this is this band's first tour, and it's this well put together.
Yeah.
And I honestly believe there was probably like a good percentage of the crowd that didn't even recognize it as me on the
Oh, it
stage.
was actually like absurd
Yeah.
because like I don't understand, because like the only difference was he had on sleeves
Yeah.
Yeah.
for the Defect and he had on a t-shirt for the Browning, and I'm like,
Yeah.
guys,
Well,
like,
Superman only had glasses on,
I know, right?
so
But it's like his hair was down, but like even then, like he can be on stage, hair down, and then like get off stage and put his hair in a bun. And it's like literally just like Superman, a
yeah.
completely different fucking person. It's
Yeah.
wild.
And so it's like, because like she said, a lot of people hadn't heard of the Defect.
Yeah.
So unless if someone really knew who I was, they would just, and with my hair down, I'm just a metal dude with long hair and a beard.
Mm.
And we have all this lighting popping off. And so I'm pretty confident like 50% of the people, if not more, didn't even realize it was me on stage, like for the Defect, which is, I think, is awesome. Like, I think that that's actually the preferred situation, for people to just be like, dang, this band is sick. Not like, oh, this band is sick because it's the Browning.
No, this is definitely something that is kind of unique in that respect of having, like, doing double duty, if you will,
Yeah.
for yourself, but also not being recognized in that double duty. Like,
Yeah.
I saw who was it, Whit Cranfield,
Yeah.
Ugly Kid Joe. I went to go see Ugly Kid Joe, but he had a band called Yellow Cake who
Yeah.
opened the show, which is basically him and the sort of Tortex of
Yeah.
Kid Joe. But like, and it was obviously him.
Yeah.
It's very much like, yeah, that's that guy. Very like different, more bluesy kind of sound, but it was like,
Yeah.
yeah, that's definitely him. But yeah, no, like I said, I've seen, but yeah, I can definitely see it in that respect of like maybe not recognizing that is you,
Right.
especially if you don't know who they are. Like, very
Yeah.
like I'm a bit more of a band geek, so I will look into who's supporting, and I'll look up who they are,
Right.
just purely because I'm a geek in that respect. Obviously, I do this, so it's kind of, it's a given. But yeah, it's certainly, no, I love that, like, kind of like, people going to see and then not realizing, and then maybe
Yeah.
still not realizing now.
Oh, for sure.
They
And
more,
the drummer was the same drummer for the Browning as well, but he's in a mask in the Defect.
oh, is that Noah?
No, Brandon.
Brand.
And so,
Okay.
yeah, so he's doing drums for the Defect and the Browning as well.
Okay.
But he's in a mask, and that was kind of one of the thoughts with doing the Defect live, like knowing that it was piggybacking off the Browning.
Yeah.
It's like, I wear a mask, but we figured with doing as many vocals as I am, it'd be kind of hard.
Yeah. Something you want to get into.
Yeah, but like really I was wearing like a hoodie on stage for the Defect,
Yeah,
and like I said, most people probably aren't watching me while we're on stage, they're probably watching her do her thing. And so I really do think it was kind of a good thing that people didn't realize it.
excellent. No, that's awesome. I love that. I love that. But obviously, like I say, you are off on tour again. So anyone in the States watching this, listening to
Yeah,
this, go check thebrowning.net. Go check the Defect on
yeah,
Instagram and Facebook, all the usual haunts on there. But tickets are available. The album's available as well, so people
yeah,
go buy that. Go buy the product.
definitely.
And support them. Go out on tour. Go to the merch stand. Say hi. Buy a t-shirt.
Hmm.
Buy a sticker. Buy whatever you're selling. Very big on people buying physical products from bands because
Oh,
it's
for sure.
like as much as
Appreciate
I
it.
love the convenience of streaming, um, physical product, CDs, vinyl, as you can see, turntables behind me,
Yeah,
are very big.
definitely.
And I love buying that, and I've got a couple of Browning CDs in here somewhere. Uh,
Right.
I will pick up a Defect one when I do an order to fixed. I tend to sort of bunch up a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
I've got to send it overseas. But would you plan, like, obviously, I know I mentioned it before, like bringing it over to Europe and stuff. Obviously, with the Browning and stuff, you do have a following over here.
Yeah.
In that respect, are you planning on bringing the Browning over? Obviously, but
Yep.
you bring the Defect with you? Would that be an option?
Yeah, we're doing a run this year. We've already announced the Browning has announced like three European festivals for like August.
Okay, cool.
And so we're doing a full like summer festival run, and we're doing club shows in between, and the Defect will be there
Oh, no.
for all the club shows between the festivals and everything.
Will be there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
Have you got anything? Because I obviously haven't looked. Any UK dates?
We're not doing any festivals in UK, but we are doing like three UK shows, and none of it's announced yet, but it's
Okay.
definitely there. So,
And can I get an idea of when that's going to be announced, just for the purposes of this show and
um,
my
I
own
don't know.
curiosity?
It should be as soon as possible.
Okay,
So,
cool.
yeah.
All right. So people look out for UK dates.
Yes,
Obviously, if you're hitting like the likes of London or anything like that, I will be there.
it will be. Yeah.
As long as I am here. Um, I've had a run of like bands coming over or bands playing, and I've been out of the country or on holiday, things like that, and it really sucks. But yeah, no, obviously I want to see you guys play. I want to see the Defect as well because
Yeah.
I do genuinely love the album. And it is a great sort of like obviously you've got the like you say the chaotic and heaviness. Browning
Yeah.
just just works. You could do a
Thank
double
you.
album or something. Both CDs playing at the same time, do all kind of.
Right.
No, I'm just messing
I'm really
around.
excited to hear what you think about the live presence,
Well,
and
Yeah.
that's what I'm
that,
looking forward to. So
and that's appreciated. And like any like comments or anything that anybody wants to leave that maybe saw us live, I'd love to hear like truthful thoughts about everything. So
Yeah.
okay, you're inviting some in there though. So
ab- yeah, I mean, absolutely, absolutely.
I know what this internet's like. But no, my viewers and listeners are generally quite nice, from my experience. Hopefully,
Yeah.
some of them might say I do have a good listenership in the States. So
Yeah.
'cause that's where I started this thing, and it
Nice.
sort of grows there. So, but yeah, cool. I've got a couple of questions left for you guys.
Yeah.
Actually, it's mainly going to be for Moon, if that's right, because you've
Yeah.
answered questions previously. I asked you for your three most pivotal records last year, and your hobbies away from the music. And I can see you've got one of your fingerboards in your hand there.
Yeah. I'm I'm my brain just twitches if I'm not touching one.
No, it's fine. I totally get it. I've got one in here somewhere that
Yeah.
I occasionally pick up, and like you can't see my hands down here. It's like um, it's like my fidget spinner type thing.
Exactly.
At the moment, I've just got a pair of like nail clippers. I'm not clipping my nails. I'm just squeezing.
Right.
So yeah, my fingers need to be occupied sometimes too. So but Moon, what I want to find out um, are your most three most pivotal records in your life. So not necessarily your favorite. So I'm not talking like top three albums of all time. I'm talking about like either tracks you heard when you were younger and it made you want to get into music, made you want to be in a band, got you into heavy music, got you into whatever kind of music. Those moments where you heard a track and you're like, oh my god, and that kind of was your gateway into what you're into.
Well, if I'm being completely honest, I never really had much of like a desire or dream to be involved in music like this. I
Okay.
used to want to be a choreographer, and who actually made me want to do that was Christina Aguilera
Yep.
in like the 2001 album, the Dirty album,
Yep.
actually.
Yep.
And but that and but other than that, I never like listened to like any albums or CDs that made me want to be like, I want to be that, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know. There's more so, I think, artists that I take like a lot of inspiration from.
Yeah.
And that's like, like Evanescence or Flyleaf, just anything from like that time
Yep.
period, really. Like maybe a little like Gwen Stefani or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, um,
No worries.
no specific like albums or anything that
Is
really.
there anything you kind of like you listen to regularly? Is there any albums that really have stuck with you over the years? So not like again, it could be this is probably going into the venturing of your top three albums at this point, but if there were any records that particularly have I don't know, just that you have a moment with.
Um, I think it's kind of like the same thing. Like I don't listen to a lot of like new albums. I'll listen to like the same three albums just on repeat from like back to front. And it's more so for me like artists
Yeah.
that I really get on with like Pixies.
Yeah.
I absolutely love Pixies. I love the weirdness and just how they put whatever they want together, whatever they're feeling together, just kind of like in there. Yeah, I don't.
Yeah. Okay.
I know what music you listen to all the time.
Well, it's like
Especially when we first got together, it was just like it was the same like probably like 12 songs.
well, I really like a lot of like 70s music too. So
Led
like
Zeppelin, Janis
classic
Joplin,
classic Zeppelin. Yeah, some Janis
Alanis
Joplin.
Morissette,
Nice.
I like a lot of music that has like a lot of soul to it and a lot of like emotion and stuff. Something you can feel.
Cranberries.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm so all over the place. I can't even really give definite answers.
No, no, that's good. It's good that you've got Johnny there as well to kind of like give.
Yeah, he helps me
I
out.
like, trust me, I know what songs you listen to. I'm like, can we turn something else on? Dang.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, all the bands that were mentioned there, great. I mean, Flyleaf, great band from back in those late 90s.
Yeah.
Obviously, Evanescence, Pixies, Led Zeppelin, from the land of Led Zeppelin here. So
Yeah.
I'm eager to see this new movie that something's just come out like Becoming Led Zeppelin or something
Right.
What?
here. Um, and yeah, no, obviously Alanis Morissette, like huge, like during my teen years, that album, that Jagged Little Pill album was just a
Yeah.
monster. Like
Yep.
every track on that album was released, I think had videos to it, but
Right.
she was everywhere. And I think is it an anniversary this year or last year for that album, like 25 years or something.
Yeah.
Make me
Yeah.
feel super old. Um,
Well, and she did a lot of that stuff like by herself too, from what I had heard. Like a lot of the music and the recordings and stuff like that,
yeah,
which is just super impressive, like
no,
as an artist and the ability, they just don't make them like they used to.
no, you don't quite get them like that now, do you? So
No.
she ran so people could walk. That's how I look at it. Like there's a lot of bands from back then, a lot of artists from back then that did all the hard work for a lot of the bands and artists now,
Paved the way.
and it kind of led that way and gave like especially on the sort of like female empowerment side of things there, but it's like some of the topics she was talking about in that thing is like wasn't really heard of, especially from a female artist.
From a female, yeah.
Such a badass. She
Yeah,
just didn't
exactly.
care.
And even now I hear those songs on the radio and they still have the same effect. Like even
Absolutely.
I'm a father to teenage girls and they hear them and obviously they very much like things like Taylor Swift and Gracie Abrams and Sabrina Carpenter, all these people that I've said like because Alanis Morissette has done did what she did and the way she did it, it's
Yeah.
given the gateway for them now as well. And there was I think the anniversary celebration of said album, an award night or whatever it was, and they had a lot of those artists collaborate with Alanis.
Yeah.
That's
So they
awesome.
can do some of those songs, which was great. It was like one of those moments of like my teen years, my kids' teen years, kind of like colliding. So it was like one
Yeah,
of
for sure.
watch it. But no, it was fantastic. I love Alanis, absolutely love it. It's
Yeah.
one of the first songs I learned to play on bass guitar was I think Hand in My Pocket. So
It's a good one.
yeah, yeah,
Good
it's a
one.
crazy bass line. Um, but do you have any hobbies away from the music? Obviously, because I know you said you weren't necessarily into a lot of music, and you talked about the choreography side of things. But you got any hobbies outside of obviously the defect?
I love nature. I live for the earth and going on like barefoot, very intense hiking is one of my absolute favorite things to do. Like if I can like literally walk out into the woods, like off of a path that's been paved, just like create my own and like find like maybe a river, like something like that. Like I could live there like a freaking goblin or something.
I was going to say Hobbit.
I mean, that's a little more flattering than a goblin, I
Oh, no,
guess.
I was thinking because you said barefoot, and I was like, oh, like Hobbit style, you know.
Yeah.
Maybe a woodland fairy or
Oh yeah.
something.
Yeah,
Woodland fairy. I do
You
like
know.
fairies
go with
a
that.
lot.
That's
He helps me out. He helps
much
assist
better.
out.
This is great. No, that sounds fantastic. I mean, I mean, I don't go on too much hiking side of things, but I do like to walk around without shoes on,
Yeah.
Very
especially
grounding.
outside.
It's good for you.
Yeah, no, that's what. So like I got my backyard and everything. When I used to live over in the States as well, it was a lot easier to kind of do that because it was hot and dry. Whereas at the moment it's cold, wet, and muddy. Just a totally different sensation. When it comes to my feet, and yeah, because I'm as aged as I am, my feet get cold super quick. So it's old age thing. But no, that sounds amazing. But yeah, if I was going to say, Johnny, if you want to give a shout out to your fingerboard company as well, because I know people were interested in that last time.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's called Fed Up Fingerboards, and I do fingerboard. This is a Browning board, and so I do a bunch of collabs with different bands and whatnot, for different fingerboards and everything. And it is a perfect hobby. Like it's like I bring it with me all the time in my little bag that I wear,
Nice.
and it's been pretty rewarding. I know it sounds maybe silly to some people, but like I love skateboarding, and so being able to just like skateboard safely as an adult is pretty cool.
That's that I was going to say that's why I do it as well because I stepped on a skateboard probably about 10 years ago and I fell
Yeah.
straight off.
No, yeah, I'm not trying to get hurt anymore. And
I've got a bunch of boards behind this black sheet down here as well that are like
right,
purely display boards now.
but yeah,
They have no trucks, no wheels, nothing, just the boards. There's
yeah,
was it stereo skateboards, which
oh
is
yeah,
Jason Lee.
and it's also partially like one of my things about it too is like in adult age, I feel like once you kind of get set in your ways and be able to do stuff that you wanted to do when you were a kid, but without you can actually like buy the crap yourself.
Yeah.
And I always wanted these really nice fingerboards when I was a kid, but they were expensive, and so
Yeah.
like I never had one. And so I think that even with music or like with anything, like being as an adult, being able to kind of do the stuff you wanted to do as a kid but weren't able to.
Yeah.
Into that.
Oh, that's good. That's good. No, you can afford it. It's
Yeah.
like it's like you can,
Yeah.
what I say to my kids, like when they ask me, why are you doing this now? And I'm like, well, I'm an adult. I can do what I want.
Because I
Um,
can, right? No one can tell me no.
I can afford to buy this gadget that I'm only probably going to use once.
Right.
But yeah, but that's awesome. So yeah, no, thank you, Moon, Johnny. Thank you very much. I really appreciate your time this evening. And yeah, good luck with everything. Good luck with the forthcoming tour. Everyone can go
Yeah.
through the dates now. They're up on the Browning and the Defect websites. Tickets are available at your
Yep.
stockists. The album is available as well, obviously via Fixed, and obviously via your website, and all that kind of stuff. So go buy the CD, go buy the album, go buy a CD
Yep.
player. Damn it, they're not that expensive.
Right.
You'll find them at a yard sale or something. Um,
Yep.
but
And we'll
vinyl,
see everyone in the UK in August where we'll
yes,
do a few shows there. So
definitely, definitely, you'll be seeing me there. As well, I'll be there and I'll
yeah.
come say hi. But yeah, no, cool. Thank you guys, and have a good rest of your day.
Yeah, you too.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you.